I'm out here in the pasture today setting up some hot wire like I do, boy, all the time. But today it's a little bit different because I've got some new equipment that I get to work with. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. So how did I come to have all this brand new Gallagher equipment? Well, this goes back to when I went to Utah to visit the Redmond mine, and I got to meet a bunch of other YouTubers while I was there. And one of the channels that I met, the Naked Gardeners, mentioned that they had a deal going with Gallagher, and basically, long story short, it was because of them that I got hooked up with Gallagher. So I want to say a big thank you to the Naked Gardeners for helping make this happen. Now, I try to limit the amount of sponsored content that I bring you guys, and that's mostly because I really only want to promote products that I believe in, or in many cases, products that I've already been using for years, and Gallagher fits into that. Some of you guys that have been with the channel for a long time may remember that about 2 years ago, I started using a Gallagher S40 solar box, and I've been so happy with that thing. I haven't had one problem with it. The only reason that I want to upgrade it is because I am bad about keeping my hot wires clean. I've always got weeds up against them, and I thought that a little bit stronger box would help keep that voltage up when the weeds are all laying on the wire. After talking with the rep at Gallagher, he sent me out a new S100 solar box that is probably about twice the power of the one that I have now. He got me this nice little fault finder here and a couple of these geared reels that I am super excited to try. I've always wanted to try one of these, but I just never have. And as much as I'm moving wires all the time, I think this is going to be a lifesaver. I actually did come through today and weed whack through the ditch here where the hot wire goes through. And I try to do that every so often, but like I say, it's not the easiest thing for me to keep up on. And that's, I mean, mostly my fault, I guess. So when we get this all set up and turned on, we're gonna see the full potential of what this box can do, because there should be minimal grounding. I mean, I'm sure there's still some weeds touching it here and there, but for the most part, I've got this cleaned out. It ought to be good for about a week, and then the weeds will grow back and we'll be kind of right back to square one. All right, let's get this stuff set up and see how it works. Oh, so they sent me, I'm not gonna need the bungee cord here anymore. They sent me these little plastic hooks that'll just hook onto the wire. So yeah, I'm gonna use that instead. One up here, yeah. Watch out, yeah. Come on, get in. Gallagher also sent me out a bunch of these 3/8 fiberglass posts to put the wire on. Now they make a bunch of fancier posts than this. They make the step-in kind, the pigtail top kind, and I know a lot of people really like those. But I asked for these specifically because this is what I'm already using out here. What I really like about these is, number one, they're the cheapest posts that you can buy, and that's always a good thing. But number two, since they're so simple, you can carry a bundle of them a lot easier, I think. And when I finally get time to get my four-wheeler fixed up and sort of outfit it to run fence, my plan is to take like big PVC pipes and almost making post scabbards is kind of what you would think of it. And I want to be able to fit a bunch of those in that pipe. And I think if I have those big step-in kind or the big pigtail kind, it's not going to work for that. But these will. So these are kind of a win-win for me. They're cheaper and they're going to work the way that I need them to. And of course, the posts are no good if you don't have clips to clip the wire up to them. And I mean, usually I wouldn't even really mention clips, but there's actually something about these that I really like. They fold the wire back so that there's no sharp wire protruding out that could potentially cause an injury. Now, if you're sitting there thinking like, oh, come on, what's, you know, a pointy wire, that's not going to do anything. Well, if y'all have noticed my hat, Rip Ranch here, these are my friends in Utah, and he actually had a cow get one of those old style clips stuck in a cow's eyelid. And with a clip like this, that's not going to happen. All right, now that I got all the new wires set up, I can go ahead and swap these boxes out. But before I do that, I want to take a voltage reading on the wire with the S40, and that way we'll have an apples to apples comparison of the S40 compared to the new S100. So right now it's actually cleaning up the wire helped a lot. We're at 5,300 volts, but I think we can do better. So let's throw the new box on there. Critters living in there. Well, it's an easy thing to forget, but on these new boxes, you got to open them up and connect the battery. So we got our clips here in the battery compartment, and then they've got the ground wire hooked up already, of course. So we just need to hook up our positive. When I put the two boxes side by side, you can see physically how much bigger the 100 is than the 40. But other than that, they're essentially the same. The controls are all the same. They even look the same. I think it's recommended that you let this sit out in the sun for a day or so before you use it. But what's cool about these boxes is on the dial, they have a selection for the battery indicator that'll tell you if the battery's in good shape or not. So if it's telling me the battery is good, then I'm going to turn it on so we can take a reading and see where it's at. But otherwise, we'll just let it charge for a day and try it tomorrow. Yeah, so the battery indicator is turning up red, which means that the battery is low. So I'll leave this out in the sun all day today, and hopefully tomorrow morning when I need to move the cows back here, it's charged up enough that we can use it. That's all there is to it. We're just gonna let this thing sit out in the sun and charge, and tomorrow morning we'll see what she's got. All right, it's actually been a couple of days since I put the new S100 box up here at the ranch, and it's been working. So let's pull out the tester and see what this thing is actually putting out. They sent me out this I-Series fault finder fence tester. I know that this tester is capable of doing a lot of things, but I've yet to figure all of that out. What I like about this tester is that there's no ground wire that I have to stick into the ground. Let's see what we got. Over 7,000 volts on that line. That's perfect. That's exactly the kind of numbers that I like to see. It won't matter who touches that. It's going to get everybody's attention and be pretty effective. You also may have noticed that there was an amp number on there with an arrow. What that indicates is that I do have some grass and weeds on that line, and that's what's making it show that amp draw. The dial on the S100 is pretty straightforward. You've got 4 different selections that you can choose from. The first one that we already sort of demonstrated was the battery tester, and if that blinks red, then you know your battery is low and needs to be charged. If it's green, then you know you're all set. The second position here is off. Next, we've got what is called the wildlife position. The wildlife setting pulses faster, so you're getting more like shocks per minute, so to speak. The livestock setting, the intensity of the pulses are the same, but they're a little bit more spaced apart. And the reason for this is to just sort of conserve battery if you don't have predator issues or you're not trying to fence out wildlife. Then you can make your battery last a little bit longer on that setting. So in other words, if you have predator issues or anything like that, you're gonna wanna use the wildlife setting, because that's gonna make sure that those things stay out of your fenced in area during the nighttime when those animals are more active. If predators really aren't a concern for you, then you can go with the livestock setting. I always go with the wildlife setting, not because predators are a problem for me out here, but I just, you know, I want my cattle to stay well trained, and if they happen to bump that wire in the middle of the night, I want to make sure that they get it. I'm excited to start using this box, not only because it's so powerful, but because now I've got my little S40 box that's going to be awesome if I ever need a hot wire at the winter pasture or the summer steer pasture or my pig pen. It just seems like it's pretty often that I need a little portable hot wire that I can just stick up somewhere wherever I need it. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.